Hello, everyone. You're listening to TAC Podcast, a deep, open conversations about wellness and growth with global movers in Korea. Enjoy.
It's a pleasure, bro.
That's exactly it. What we did back there, we just do it with the cameras.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
And so we have about 18 followers on Instagram.
Oh, wow,
please,
okay.
Please say hello to the audiences.
Guys, so I don't know to which camera I'm supposed to look at, but guys, welcome to TAC, Temporary Alien Club. This is the space for not only for you and I, but for everybody to just come around and share our problems, share our experiences, share everything that feels like it's real life for us here in Korea. And I think, bro, it's a very good project, because you are just going head on into so many of the problems and the pain points of so many people that it's just good to have a platform in which you can talk about it. You can actually like pour out your heart and your soul and talk about the good things about living in Korea, but also the hard things about being a foreigner living here in Korea, especially temporary aliens here in Korea. So it's thanks, man. Thanks for being here, and you guys, to everybody that's watching the podcast in YouTube and in other platforms, welcome. We hope that this is a space in which you can find yourself at home in, and leave us a comment if you have any opinions and any comments on these things. And yeah, man, let's head into it.
You're total pro.
Bro, I've been
You
doing
did it better than me.
I've been doing this for a couple of years now.
Yeah, I want to talk about that to start with.
Yeah.
You were actually doing a group lesson this morning just now.
Right.
So it's Max is head CEO, a founder of Coreanofilos, which targets on people in Latin America about Korean languages and Korean culture. So why don't you explain a little bit more about that?
Sure, thanks, man. So, Coreanofilos, it's a platform and a project that we use to transform the lives of Latin American youth through the Korean language. So, our main goal, our vision is to transform their lives, to give them meaning, to give them purpose, to give them vision, to open new boundaries, open new worlds of opportunities for people and for young people that live in South America. And we find that this is very, very important for us because I have been a living testimony of all the opportunities that I was able to find myself here in this country. So I come from Colombia. Colombia and overall Latin America is a continent that has been deeply, deeply scarred by violence, by poverty, by abuse, and it's something that we've had to deal with as society, and it's something that it really breaks my heart to see my country and to see the state of the young people in my country. And for me, the fact that I've been here in Korea, the fact that I've had the opportunities to thrive in this country has really given me a very, very deep passion for helping others that perhaps were in my same shoes, in my same situation a couple years back, and then just bringing them over to Korea, teaching them the language, giving them opportunities to have scholarships to study, to get a job in Korea, to get married. I'm pretty sure we're gonna be, talking about all these things in a bit, but that's basically the project. So I'm really passionate about it. It's been a project that I've been doing for more than 10 years now.
Wow,
It's been 10
know
years.
that was that for a while.
So we've been doing social media for 6 years, but I've been actively actually, with this idea and getting people on board for 10 years now. It started in 2016. So it's been a while. It seems like it's my life vision, my life purpose, my life meaning. So I'm all in.
Was Korea even a thing back in the days?
So it wasn't as much as it is right now, but it definitely was a thing back then as well. The reason why I got into Coreanofilos in this project in Korea as a whole was not because of K-pop or K-dramas or the whole Hallyu wave. It was more because for me it just seemed to be the normal, very natural sort of path to taking life. Just to give you a bit of a context, I went to an international school back in Colombia. So our school had a bunch of gringos, a bunch of American people, a bunch of Canadians, a bunch of Europeans, a bunch of Koreans as well. So like at one point, there were so many Koreans in the classroom that 1/4 of the people
Wow.
in my classroom were Koreans in Colombia. That's crazy, right?
That's
Colombia.
weird.
What are Koreans doing in Colombia? Anyhow, so I remember one day, bro, there was there was a teacher that had to do like a workshop on entrepreneurship. So he came in and he was talking about everything, the future, technology, whatnot. And then he was like, "Hey guys, listen very closely, guys. If you guys want to learn a third language, guys, learn an Asian language because Asia is going to be the future." That was back in 2013. That was way back. So he was like, "Hey guys, learn an Asian language. That's going to be the future of the world." So I was like, "Huh, interesting." So I already have a bunch of Korean friends. I might as well just learn Korean. That just seemed normal for me. So yeah, I just started learning the language. I fell in love with the language. It was something I could just study like day in, day out. And then I traveled to Korea the next year to do like a summer course in Sogang University, which is around the corner here in Sinchon. And bro, everything just started falling into place. And yeah, that's how the dream, that's how the passion, that's how the project of Coreanofilos was born.
Nice, that's nice.
Yeah.
And I might be asking a bunch of questions that
Bro,
I already know the answers to because giving the audience the context. So you've been here more than how long have you been here in Korea?
We're going on 10 years
10 years.
soon.
And by the way, Max speaks like perfect Korean. He's one of the most fluent Korean-speaking foreigners I know.
I wish I could say that, but bro, like I always say,
You
like
are. You really are.
like bro, like there's so many things I have to learn, and I know that I can, I get my way in Korean, but it's just a continuous learning process for me. So I'm still studying, man. I still take classes. I still take Korean classes. I still take like 1:1 one-on-one Korean classes just because I feel that learning the language is the fastest quote unquote, because it's not fast, but it's the most assured way, or it's the best way for you to thrive in Korea, just learning the language. It's just going to open up so many doors. And at one point I just knew that my ability to communicate in the Korean language was going to be the number one deciding factor of how I was going to live in this country, how well I was going to live in this country, and how well things were going to go for me in this country. And that has proven to be the case for sure, 100% sure. So yeah, bro, I'm still studying. But thanks for your kind words.
I think language barrier is they have different people have different viewpoints when it comes to language barrier in Korea, because Korea is not it's not the most foreigner friendly country in the world. And compare that to like other Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia or Indonesia, which they have a decent English background. Korea, Japan, and China, maybe they don't really have that, right? So it's natural that you come to Korea and you expect people to not speak English, but well, when you see on the media, it kind of gives you a wrong image that Koreans know how to speak like decent level of English. But when you actually come here for the first time, you realize that it's not. And some people say that learning Korean is like the essence, like the key of being a part of the society. Others say that no, being able to speak English is like your, I don't know how to say this, advantage for you being here. And a lot of people are saying that Korea is evolving and is becoming a country where more diverse people can come here, and not just they don't have to essentially learn the language to adapt to society because the society is evolving. But I still do think, and vice versa, for foreigners, they have no, for Koreans they also struggle with this because they want to be engaged with foreigners, but they're often afraid of speaking English because they feel that English is not perfect. But you speak Korean fluently, you speak English fluently, and you also speak Spanish, of course, fluently. So I think you have this natural talent for language, I think. So what's your viewpoint about like this whole language thing in Korea?
Well, I would say that There's just so many to talk about relating to languages. I feel that the fact that English is not so widely spoken in Korea becomes an advantage to the people that want to learn the language, because you become the more special. If you speak the language, I once heard a phrase that says like there's no faster way to the heart of a person that's speaking in their own tongue. So whenever you actually speak Korean to a Korean person and they see your face and they see that you're a foreigner, it's like, wow, that's so cool. Thanks for thanks for taking the time to learn our language. Thanks for taking the effort to do that. And it just it's just respecting the culture. 로마에 가면 로마 법에 따라 살아야죠. So like if you go to Rome, hey, you have to do whatever Romans do. And I think there's no better way of appreciating the culture of a country that actually like studying the language and being able to do that. Koreans assume, for me, speaking Korean in Korea is way more important than speaking English in Korea. Because I feel that Koreans assume that because you're a foreigner, you already speak English. So they don't really care to ask you for certification in the language in case you're looking for a job. They don't really doubt your ability to speak the language. So they just hire you in the work market scenario. They just hire you expecting that you know English, so you're not going to have any problems with that. But they do expect to actually see that you speak the Korean language a lot. In some cases, not in every case, not in every company, not in every job listing. But yeah, I feel that I don't know if I'm good at languages, but I definitely feel I'm passionate at learning them, at studying them, and seeing how it's not only, you're not only learning a language, you're learning a culture through the language. You're learning, I don't know, let me just give you a very brief example. For example, in Colombia or in Spanish, we don't really have a word for perio or periosim. So we don't have a word for perio, or we don't really have a word for yangbo, right?
Really?
We don't have a word for that.
Okay.
So that really tells you about, that tells you about the culture. That tells you about what concepts and what ideas and what collective consciousness, sort of like concepts, people had to come up with in a certain culture to actually value something so much as to making a word for that. And you can see the change in philosophy and sort of like like collective culture, that in Colombia we don't have perio. We don't have perio.
It's not like you guys don't understand the concept.
It's not that we don't understand the concept. We just don't have it conceptualized as a whole. We're much more of like Keinjui, right? So like more personalized, much more individualistic mindset. I don't necessarily think there's anything good or bad, inherently good or bad with any of these two concepts. It's just an observation. But language is just a straight up shortcut into understanding the culture, and that's I think it's a very good example of that point.
This is just random, but I was talking to this person. I heard this person speaking Spanish, so I asked her, "Are you from Spain?" And she said, "No, I'm from Colombia." And she said the funniest thing: "We speak better Spanish than Spain." The Spanish people. And I was kind of confused because I know that there's Spanish and there's like a Mexican Spanish. And is there a Colombian Spanish as well? Is that different?
Well, there's not per se like Colombian Spanish. When people say like Mexican Spanish or Spanish or Colombian Spanish or Chilean Spanish, we're all talking about Spanish as a whole, but we just have different, like slang or different ways of communicating, like very, very specific things in the normal everyday life, but it's mutually intelligible. So it's it's like, hey, you speak Colombian Spanish? Nah, we don't really define it that way. Like, you can say, hey, you have a more like Colombian accent, like 경상남도. It's like 경상남도, you know?
Okay.
경상도, 전라도, or like 경기도, or like whatever.
Just like a dialect.
It's like a dialect, I would say. I've heard people not referring to that as dialect. I don't know why specifically, but yeah, it's pretty much the same. I think there's a lot of pride in the type of Spanish that you speak. So if you meet another Spanish speaker, like like I speak our accent or our dialect is easier to understand than yours, or we speak more clearly or whatnot. But it's pretty much the same, and
But I noticed that a lot from Colombians.
yeah,
They have that pride.
Yeah, especially like even within the country, we have different dialects and different accents as well. So, do you remember what part of Colombia she was from?
No.
No idea. Yeah, so I'm from Bogota, which is the capital of Colombia. So we tend to speak a slower, much more intelligible, like clear Spanish. And I think a lot of people call it like neutral Spanish. It's not really neutral, but it's I like it. I enjoy it.
It's interesting that you brought up that language actually is very connected to the concepts of people, depending on the cultures. One thing I realized is that when I'm your personality changes when you're shifting languages, right? So when I'm talking to Koreans in Korean, I have how do you say this? I have certain personality that sticks with me that it changes when I'm talking to people who speak English.
Right.
And the reason, I had a reflection on myself, and maybe the reason I'm drawn to foreigners in Korea is maybe because I like talking to people in English with the mindset of English language, which opens up more aspects of thinking, I guess. I'm not sure how to put this, but there are certain topics that you can't talk with Koreans in Korean languages because maybe it's taboo, or maybe it's not maybe it's not an open topic for conversation with other different people. But when I'm talking in English, there are topics that I can talk about freely. And I was talking to this with another person the other day. It's kind of when she's also a foreigner. She comes from California, I think. And when she's talking to Koreans, she also speaks decent Korean, but she has this limitations when it comes to topics to talk about. Not because she doesn't know about that, but because Koreans kind of shy away from these topics. Have you also felt that way?
Yeah, of course. And adding to that as well, to be honest, I don't like myself in Korean.
Okay, that's new.
Yeah, like I feel
like in what sense?
I feel that and it's something that I'm really trying to break free from, is the version of myself that I've created in the language, which I don't really like too much. I'm very submissive, very passive. I'm not very outspoken. If I have any opinions, I'm not as proactive and open to expressing them not because there's the language barrier, but because the personality that I've created over the years.
Is that because of work culture, do you think?
I think it's because that's a good question. Why? I feel like what you were saying, Korean culture is a bit more closed, a bit more conservative, a bit more withdrawn, sort of, than Spanish or English. It's less loud.
Yeah,
it's less outspoken. So I feel that for me, in order to actually fit in society, I've had to adopt behaviors that don't necessarily go with my original personality, and that has been sort of like unified to the language. So whenever I switch to Korean, I just become this more shy, much more retrieved version of myself.
But I think the mindset that is shaped with the Korean language itself is kind of submissive in some ways.
Yeah,
because it, like you've mentioned, Korea is quite closed compared to other countries. So when you're speaking the language, I can understand why you have that side of you that just pops out. So that's interesting.
That is, it's one of my goals of this year to, hey, let's rewire my brain. Which the good news is that it's possible. It's possible to change. It's possible to learn. It's possible to grow. It's possible to rewire. So my goal this year, one of the goals of this year is, hey, let's rewire the way that I interact with people in Korean. I noticed that as soon as I start speaking the language, Korean, my face is like 정색 빨고 이렇게 진지해지고. So it's like, hey, wow, I'm not able to smile in the language so often.
Fun enough.
I'm not fun enough, right? So hey, I'm gonna say, hey, as soon as I start speaking language, I'm gonna be conscious about adopting a much more positive posture, more facial expressions, more. I've realized that Koreans don't use hand gestures as much as foreigners. So hey, let's try to adopt a much more outgoing sort of like personality in the language as soon as you do that. So it's a big challenge because it's already very like solidified in my brain. But I mean, I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best.
All right. So talking about rewiring your brain and all those things, I know that you're into a lot of you love reading books and you also love listening to podcasts about self-growth and self-development, right? So do you have any daily routines or do you have your go-to procedures or something that helps you?
Yeah, bro. So like I feel that if I there's one phrase of a book or one concept of a book, it's called 성공하는 사람의 7가지의 습관. So the 7 habits of highly effective people. And he talks about a very interesting concept, which is the following. There's things you can categorize things into your life into 2 different like spectrums. The importance spectrum and the urgent spectrum. So everything in life, all the tasks that you have to do in the day are either important or urgent. And sometimes we spend our days chasing after the urgent tasks. So like, like a firefighter, like putting fires down, hey, something urgent came out, I have to do that. Another urgent task came up, I have to do that. I have to deal with this, that. So we're basically chasing I found myself chasing after the urgent tasks. But we leave behind tasks that are not urgent, but that they are important. So it's making the distinction between important and urgent. And for me, the way that I've seen it, and he talks about it in the book, it's called personal victories. And personal victories is, hey, the small things that you do every day that become your personal victories, they're not urgent. But they're definitely important in the long run. So I've tried to establish for myself a set list of, hey, what's important for me, even if it's not urgently prioritized, what's important for me. And I think it's the following. For me, taking care of my spiritual well-being, my spiritual life is just the basis of everything, bro. If the spiritual life is not in place, nothing falls into place. If your center of gravity is not in place, nothing falls into place. Conversely, if your center of gravity is in place, bro, everything magically just falls into place. Everything in your life, it just starts making sense. So for me specifically, and just bring this into pragmatical things, for me, morning prayer and morning scripture reading is very important, bro. It's not urgent, but it's something that it really pulls me back to reality, to reality of the things that really matter. For example, if I try to pursue business I'm all into business. I'm all into making money. I'm all into developing, models and systems and acquiring clients. And it sort of just becomes the most important part of my life. But then you lose track of the real things that are important, and you start making questions about, hey, why am I actually chasing business? Why do I actually want this? Why am I chasing wealth? What's what am I besides dust in the wind? What am I besides a flower that grows and then dies, and then nobody's gonna remember my name in one generation or 2 generations or not? Why am I chasing after the wind? Why am I chasing after the wind? It's pointless.
Right.
It's pointless. So having time to reflect on my own existence, for me, just it's the missing piece of the puzzle in my whole life. So I try to do that. I try to be as consistent as I can. I must admit I'm not as consistent as I would like to be. I like to wake up early in the morning and do it, just because it's time when everything is quiet, you don't have any distractions. For me, just having moments of true emotional vulnerability and just how do you say that? Like, how do you say that? I'm trying to look for a word. Um, just time alone with the Lord. For me, is just pouring out my soul. It's the most important part of my day, to be honest.
I mean, I've never been a religious person myself, but I consider myself as a spiritual person as well, because I don't believe in God essentially, but I do still believe in that there are something, you can call it energy or spirit or God or whatever, that is bigger than me and has some much more, much greater purpose. So I believe that I'm not the only self that I'm experiencing this, and there is something is just being experienced through me. You know what I'm saying, right? So I'm always curious how religious people deal with life, this life, and the concept of afterlife. I'm always curious about that. And this podcast is actually, I'm being selfish about this podcast because I'm just trying to meet people and ask questions that I'm curious about and get answers from different perspectives. So yeah, this is my question. I mean, what is real? This might be a very sensitive topic, but what is being alone with the Lord feels like? What is that time?
It's a time of intimacy. I feel that the root cause of many of the problems that people face is the lack of intimacy. It's lack of emotional intimacy. And that's the root cause, in my personal experience. It's been the root cause of addictions, of vices, of just lack of purpose and meaning. It's a time of, hey, look, closing all the shades, closing the window, closing the door, and just pouring out, hey, coming clean before the Lord and saying, hey, this is me. I'm not in here. It's not a time to pretend. It's not a time to pretend. It's not a time to pretend I'm a big business owner. I'm this social media influencer. I live in Korea. I do this. No, it's, I'm empty-handed. And that's who I am. I'm nobody. And I want my life to have purpose and meaning, and I want revelation. And I want to be able to pour out my heart. And bro, you know what? Listen to this. This is bro, this is completely crazy. I feel, bro, that humans have installed in their DNA the need and the desire, the burning desire of worship.
Mm.
Worship. Think about it. If you think about it, like human beings from thousands of years back, we've always found something to worship.
Right.
Always. Worship is just, we crave worship. People back then, indigenous people, used to see something in the sky, the sun, used to see something bigger than themselves, and they used to be like, oh my goodness, we worship the sun. They used to see the moon, we worship the moon. They used to see the river, the animals, and pantheism became worshiping the spirits. Then it turned into religion, worshiping Buddha, God, Jesus, Allah, Allah.
Mm.
We've always found something to worship, and I feel that the need for humans to actually do extraterrestrial exploration, going to the moon, going to Mars, going to seeking the universe, is actually seeking an answer to why are we here? Who's out there? Who's out there?
Exactly.
Who? Please. We have the desire to feel that we're not alone, and we're desperately calling for that as humans, and that has taken shape in different ways, different religions and stuff. But I don't feel I'm having a very nice cup of warm coffee, and I just drink this coffee. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so good. The feeling of finding true pleasure in something is worship. Going out in Hongdae, in I don't know, bro, like in Hongdae with your girlfriend, bro, just holding hands with your girlfriend, eating an ice cream, and enjoying her company. Bro, what a moment of delight. You worship that time. You worship that, or just being able to be with your friend, having a nice conversation, nice beer. Bro, we have this desire of worshiping. So it's not a matter of if we worship or not. It's a matter of what we worship. What we worship.
That's nice. That's nice.
So, bro, a time of intimacy with the Lord for me means, bro, worshiping the Creator. Having a time of worshiping and being in the presence of Alpha and Omega, beginning and end of the eternal now, of this bigger consciousness that it's beyond me, that I can just worship this greatness, bro. And there's nothing that fills the soul more than that, bro. So as soon as I do that, and as soon as I put some worship music and just pour out my heart into this time, bro, I'm ready to start the day. Not only the day, but I'm ready to. This is everything that I've always been looking for.
Nice. I like how you put it's not whether you worship or not. It's about what you worship, right? And I think that also goes same with the addiction as well, because people are addicted to something. Everyone is, right? Someone's addicted to social media. A lot of us are these days. Some people are addicted to coffee. Some people are addicted to love. Some people are addicted to working out. All those things. I think, but the difference between worship and addiction, in your terms, what I understand is that addiction is about finding more, searching for more and more every time, right? You search for you search for a more exciting moment of your life. So, but it's like an endless search for that. But for worship, it's about realizing that this is it. This is the happiness you find in these little moments. Well, you go on a date, it might be just like a normal date. But when you actually realize that this is happening right now, is truly miraculous in like in it doesn't make even sense, right? When you think about it, me with this person actually enjoying this lifetime together, this moment together in this place, this has to be some kind of a like a endless miracle. You know what I mean? So I think that was really interesting for me to hear.
Yeah, bro. I mean, it's something that there was a point in my life in which I was like, bro, what am I actually looking for? What is it that I'm looking for? What is it that I'm looking for in everything that I'm doing? And it seemed that with addictions and with vices and everything, there's a cup, and you fill the cup, but the cup never gets filled
full.
to the rim. Never. You pour, you pour, you pour, you pour, and it just keeps asking you for more. So it's a never-ending search. But whenever so I was like, hey, I want to find something that satisfies this craving that I have, and for me that's that. So I mean, yeah, that's so. Going back to your question, what are those things that routines and stuff? For me, it's just starting the day with having that time of intimacy, and then I usually go to the gym with my wife. I'm married, by the way. It's been by the way, yesterday we were 300일 of getting married. So yeah,
congratulations.
It's been 300 days since we got married. So we're currently working at home. So we currently, we take care of our schedule and stuff. So we usually go to the gym. We get there at 6 a.m. Then we go back home at 7.
You go to the gym 6 a.m.
I mean, I feel that's what works the best for us.
What time do you wake up?
It depends on the season of my life. I really am a morning person. This is just it's not a big effort for me because I feel it's just natural for me. There's times in my life that I wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, but it's not always.
Is that waking up?
It's like
not being able
to sleep. Yeah, but for me, I feel that working and having deep work sessions in the morning is just the most productive thing that I can do in my personal life. Right now, I'm not going as extreme. I'm doing any time from like 4 to 5. I'm waking up.
Wow.
So I have my time. Nobody's bothering you. And there's no kato in my phone. There's no cars on the streets. So I just have a moment for myself. And you know what, bro? Like, I felt that I was getting too caught up on immediate, very short-term tasks. I just had to take a step back and do more strategic work for the company. And that's, I think, morning hours is the perfect time to pull a step back and then just do more strategic thinking to the future, studying as well. So we go to the gym, we have breakfast, and then we start working at say like 8 or 9. Say I have Korean lessons, which I still teach to people. I do meetings with whoever I have to meet up with. And then I just do that the whole day. And then before we go to bed with my wife, we have like a 5-step like night routine in which we get together, the two of us, and it's also time of connecting with her and stuff. So we do plank. Now we're doing like planks, like 2-minute plank, and then we go ahead and do some meditation exercises, breathing, mindfulness exercises. We then do 일기, which is like writing our own journals, and then we're reading a book together, which is 행복한 결혼 생활의 7가지의 습관. So that's the name of the book. So we're just reading together this book, and then that's it. So plank, 명상, 일기, reading the book. I think I'm missing one, but whatever. We have this routine before going to bed.
Wow, you guys seem to be so grounded.
Bro, I feel like if we don't have like these very small things in life that take care of your emotional health, your mental health, your physical health, bro, it's very easy to burn out. It's very easy to burn out, and it's very easy to lose direction of your life. So
so that's the essence we're trying to talk about in this podcast, about those burnout, mental illness. I don't want to say, but those obstacles, the sufferings you guys go through here in Korea, Well, for Koreans as well, I mean, Koreans are one of the people who suffer from these mental problems. But, well, I think we're gonna edit this because they're not my targets. But for foreigners, you mentioned that it's really easy to feel these burnouts and stresses when you don't deal with these little things in life, right? So, in your experiences, have you ever met these people, met other foreigners that are going or suffering the same things, or?
Yeah, bro. I think, yeah, a lot of people, including myself. Not too much these days, but I've also gone through that. I've recently have met a lot of people that have especially when you transition into something new, something different, you tend to have a very hard time. Especially I've met nowadays people that are transitioning from university students into work life. So changing your visa to from D4 or D2 into actually E7 or D10, in which, hey, the university was supposed to sponsor my visa, but I'm done with university. So what's my next step? Am I supposed to go back to my country, or am I supposed to actually stay here? But what does staying here mean for me?
Right.
And am I going to be able to do it? Is any company going to be able to hire me as an employee? Am I worth enough for them? If you're struggling with Korean, that's even a bigger concern. So I see a lot of people nowadays that come to me and, hey, how did you manage? I'm very frustrated. I'm scared about the future. I'm anxious about not being able to actually stay in the country with the right visa. I know a lot of people that go through this, especially, and a lot of foreigners here. They have friends, but there's a lack of support network.
Right.
I feel.
Right.
So, and also it's funny because you go out into streets, and what
There's
you're
so
gonna
many
find
foreigners.
a lot of foreigners and also a lot of couples, Korean couples. Everybody's holding hands, everybody's like walking in couples. So if you're a foreigner and then you see that everybody around you is in a couple, then you feel very lonely. You feel very lonely, and you feel like, hey, yeah, that happens a lot. So
The one thing that confused me was that I see so many community events and community groups that exist in Korea, and a lot of them are exclusively for foreigners. But I was getting a lot of complaints and feedbacks about how there are no decent community for foreigners to stay in and actually establish a long-term relationship with the people. And they heard a lot of stories about them having to find new friends and new relationship after year and year by year, because some of them eventually leave the country, and they are left with the sufferings all over again. And what I was gonna say what was I gonna say? Yeah, so when I was talking to a lot of foreigners, they were asking a lot about visa, legal status, and all those things, but I realized that they were not actually asking those questions. Not only asking those questions, but beneath those questions, there are emotion problems, right? So they're asking if they're worth enough, like you mentioned, to be in this country, because having these crises, maybe they wouldn't have those problems back in home, because home is home, right? But when you're living in another country, it just piles up. The negative thoughts just piles up, and it goes to some places that you don't necessarily have to think about. So yeah.
And everything seems to be a challenge when you're a foreigner here. Like when you're back home, hey, you can just live your life normally. But if you're here in Korea, just the most simplest of tasks just take a different dimension of difficulty. Going to the bank and doing like any like ommuchori or something, bro, like what? It becomes going to the 편의점. Even you don't have to speak to anybody in the 편의점, but still, like, going to the postal office, every single task just is magnified, the difficulty. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to live here as a foreigner. Mm, something that I've been learning, bro. I don't know if we could talk about this as well.
We can talk about anything.
Nowadays, and there's a guy I really like. His podcast is called Alex Hormozy. Have you heard out of it? So he does podcasts and stuff about business, everything. And he mentioned something that I've been meditating a lot now lately. It's called being able to reframe reality. And reframe reality, bro. This is so super exciting. So there was a psychiatrist back in the 20th century. His name was Viktor Frankl.
Oh, right.
Have you heard of him? So he created this therapy, psychiatric or psychological therapy based on something called logotherapy. Have you heard about logotherapy? So it's basically, you've heard about it, but maybe people, whatever. So logotherapy is being able to attribute meaning to things that happen in your life so that they build you up instead of dragging you down. And that can go to extreme cases. And we see that on a day-to-day basis. For example, person A unfortunately gets cancer. And person B also unfortunately gets cancer, right? So both of these people have the same predicament. But we see it day and day after that person A is completely sad, for lack of a better term, completely like 무너졌어, right? And it's like, hey, I only have a couple months left to live. I'm miserable. It's the worst thing that can happen to my life, right? But person B is like, okay, I got cancer. I got a couple months left to live. Let's make the best out of it. Let's make the best out of these couple months. I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna meet people. I'm gonna fix the broken relationships that I've left in my life. I'm gonna, start yoga. Start doing things that I've always liked to do. So you see how by reframing reality, one event which is the same that happened to both of these people can have drastically and radically different impacts in the way that people live their lives. So I found that, bro, it's really hard to live in Korea. I'm gonna give you that. Right. It's really hard to live in Korea because of many things. But at the same time, the fact that it's hard, it's something very, very good, because there's something called in Korean, it's something like 전화 위복, right? Being able to take suffering, being able to take crisis and turning that into an opportunity, right, is just the most awesome way to perceive reality. Because hey, you're not suffering because you're not able to communicate you to the person in the bank. You're not suffering because of that. You're like, okay, it's hard, but because it's hard, it makes me want to learn how to do it. So hey, I'm going to learn how to do it. So you start studying, and then you start to feel that your Korean is improving. You start feeling gratification about hardships and about being able to overcome, and that gives you a drive. And because you have a drive to succeed and a drive to break through these problems in life, then you start to see actually improvement in your life. And because you start seeing improvement in your life, it's like, for example, when you go to the gym, right? You go to the gym, you start working out. It's hard. It's very hard, bro. It's really uncomfortable. But then, hey, you've been going to the gym for a couple months. People start to notice your change. And hey, Robin, look at you, man. Like last time we said hi, and I said, bro, you've been going to the gym, remember? Your back was like this big. I was like, hey, bro, you've been going to the gym. So you hear that from people, and like, oh, people notice it.
That's
That
nice.
gives you a drive. So you're like, bro, you're gonna start like lifting weights much more because people notice it, and because you start doing it more, you start having more results. And because you start having more results, people notice it more, and because people notice it more, you start doing it more. So it's a cycle that feeds on itself. Like Sunsunan, how do you say Sunsunan? Like a virtuous cycle. So instead of running away from crisis, instead of running away from pain, instead of running away from suffering, be able to frame suffering as something positive and something that you look for in your day-to-day is just the most amazing way to be how do you say that, like invulnerable in how do you say that, like invulnerable, is that the word? It doesn't affect me anymore.
Right.
It's actually something for my own good. So to all the foreigners, like I don't know if we have any like people in the audience that are going through a hard time. Bro, I get you. It's hard. It's really painful. It's really, really painful in the moment. Let me ask you this question. What can you learn from that? Is there anything that you can learn from this experience? Is there anything that you can take home and say, okay, it's really hard. Can I improve myself a little bit from this experience? And if there is, take it on yourself. Take it as your next new challenge. And that really gives you a lot of meaning and purpose and drive. So that's been my experience, bro. That's been my experience. And I think mindset is something just so invaluable, because if your mindset is right, nothing can break you.
I have so many things I want to talk about from this dialogue alone. First one was that was interesting that you mentioned about going to the whole gym thing. And the thing I was thinking about quite often these days were that the action creates motivation, but people often think it backwards, right? You need motivation to engage into action, but the reality is that you have to do something, and that action builds up. Then it naturally gives you motivation to do it more, do it better. It's like this podcast and all these things I've been doing lately. I didn't have a big motivation last year, especially last year, because a lot of things in my life was kind of breaking down, falling apart, and I lacked motivation to do anything. But I knew that because I was reading this book about this, and I knew that the motivation will come from the actions I do every day, right? So I started reading, I started meditating, I started eating breakfast. I was never a breakfast person, but I started eating breakfast because I thought it's going to help my mental clarity. And that builds up, building my healthier body, that leads on, and voila, there's a motivation for doing things. And one thing, a trick I learned was that telling people that you're doing something constantly, and it builds kind of like a how do you say this, like a promise,
accountability.
Yes. So without that, it's just me alone, right? So it doesn't matter if you're doing this, actually doing this or not. But when you're actually telling someone about this, whether they check you up or not, it's also you also think about that. Oh, I told this person that I was going to do this. What if I don't do this? That person's going to think less of me. All those little things that also drives me to actually do these things. So that's the lesson I'm quite learning a lot these days.
Yeah, bro. Action is everything. Action is everything. It just builds on so much action. You know what? You know, Robin, what's the most expensive piece of real estate in the whole world?
What's the most expensive
piece of real estate in the whole, or where is the most expensive real estate in the whole world?
Is it New York?
All right. New York. All right. Maybe perhaps.
Dubai.
Okay. All right. So it's it's funny. So of course it's probably not the case, but it's gonna help my point. But I once heard that and I was like, huh, wow, that's such a good metaphor. So the most expensive real estate real estate in the world are cemeteries, or is cemetery.
Okay.
The cemetery, because there are $1 billion ideas under the ground. Billion and trillion dollar ideas buried under the ground. It's people that wake up, hey, listen, I know I can do something. I know I can fix a problem in the world. I know that there's pain points of people that I can solve this. But
didn't do it.
It just stops. They stop before the action. They stop before the action. And that might have been a revolutionary idea, but the lack of, I don't know what the problem might be. Maybe it's just the fear of failure, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah, because you see, well, especially this time of days, you see so many people that looks that they're doing well. You know what I mean? On SNS and all the media, every day you see success of other people, and when you compare that to yourself, you look small. You look teeny tiny beauty person. That was actually one thing that that was the one thing I also struggled when I was starting to do this, because I see so many people doing well on their podcasts, doing well on YouTube, doing well on Instagram. But at the end of the day, I just thought that, I mean, they must have also had the starting point. They didn't just get the followers like in a day, right? So they must have started on some point. This is just my starting point. I don't even know where this is going, but still, I had to start somewhere if I want to keep the car running, right?
Bro, it's such an honor to be able to be part of the start of something.
Crossed.
No, bro, like you said, like motivation is driven by action and constant action, repeated action, despite the results. Like, if you had 100,000 views on this podcast from this video, it wouldn't really have the merit, or it wouldn't really have the. We show greatness is when we keep working, even though we don't see any results. Right. Even we don't see any results. Bro, I love how business and entrepreneurship is just a big metaphor of life in everything.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
It's
not a lot of people see this,
bro, and like also like nature. You see nature, you see patterns, and you see bro, I love talking about this. You see
patterns everywhere.
Universal truths.
Yep.
Universal truths in nature that apply to business, that apply to human behavior. And you're like, wow. That's when you start to see like, hey, that's my own personal take on reality and creation and everything. There's a design. There is design in the universe. We see unbreakable truths that are on top of human reality and human behavior and existence overall. So, bro, it's amazing to be able to find these in life and applying them to business and everything. It's exciting.
I think, in my perspective, when you're concentrating on self-development, it's not about you learning how to create new things, but it's about being able to interpret what is already out there, what is already complete. The universe is complete itself. It is already complete. When you're training yourself to interpret more, a little bit more, that it makes into your own words, so that you can publish it to people. That's it. I mean, that's what I learned about business. It's not about adding your new things, because you don't add to universe. Universe is just complete on its own. You just have to find a way to actually, pick some of it and make it exist into your words that people can understand you. That's business.
Wow, that's a really really interesting framework.
Mm.
Huh.
Because when you come to think of it, reality is just what you choose it to be, right?
Mm.
So it also connects you to what you mentioned before. Um, I like to think of the concept of choosing to choose
Mm.
because we make choices every day, right? Even without understanding that we're actually making choices, but understanding the concept of actually choosing to choose, choosing to make my decisions,
Mm.
make my choices,
Mm.
that's different. That's really different because reflecting on my experiences, I had to rethink and revalue a lot of stuff because I had to question myself whether I still want to do business and whether I still want to be in foreigner sectors.
Mm.
And because I've been doing this for about 5 years, right? So it's easy for me to think that this is something that I should do for the rest of my life. But we often forget that we always have a choice and that we always
Mm.
have a willpower to
Yes.
choose,
Yes.
right? I don't know how to say this Korean
No.
coherently, but
Yeah. 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 There's a lot of people. I think society nowadays there's a lot of victimhood
mm,
in a way, and a lot of deterministic out,
okay,
out views on life, which is, hey, I was born into this family, so
that's it.
I'm gonna be this.
Mm,
I'm short, so I'm not good for this. I'm not good at math, so I'm not good at this. I'm not. I had these past traumas, which, like, we don't have to be insensitive to these things. There's people that have really gone through very tough things in life, but like you said, we have the right to say, okay, this has been my past, but it doesn't have to be my future.
mm,
I can choose to take responsibility on my
mm,
own life,
mm.
and I can choose to choose. It really comes down to what choices am I making, and am I being conscious? Am I aware of the choices that I'm taking
Right,
every day?
right. I think, but when you think about it, do you think these mindsets, the standards for this mindset that we share right now, do you think that it's just for people who are founders or drawn to business or like to think in an entrepreneur mind? Or because I talk to a lot of founders, right? A lot of founders share these same visions and same values when they when we talk about lives in general. But I was thinking to myself, maybe I could also question this because maybe it's natural for founders to think in these ways. But what
Mm.
about the people who are not founders, or who doesn't value um, this taking a leadership in your life? Maybe there are people who just like to keep things low key. Maybe just keep things flow. They don't want to think too hard for themselves. They don't want daily routines. They don't want some like hardcore gym routines or anything. They just want to maintain their peace, but they don't know how. And what about those people? Do you think that's natural for founders, or do you think that applies for the other people as well?
Mm. Hmm. That's very interesting. That's very interesting.
You and I are wired for this.
There's a phrase, bro, that says, all will eat,
Mm,
few will hunt.
mm, mm. Nice.
And you see that in a day to day, in every aspect of life. There's more, there's way, 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 way more consumers than producers of
Of course.
everything. Even like social media. Like, if you're a content creator, then you might think, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of content creators nowadays. There's a lot. There's no way. Like, the amount of content creators versus the amount of consumers, the people that don't create anything, that just consume social media, bro, I don't know the statistics, but the difference is huge.
Mm.
It's tremendous. And I feel that it's sort of it's normal
Mm.
that not everybody is gonna take a step
Mm.
and act. I think it's normal, and I think not everybody is made for that, to be honest.
Mm.
And it's okay. Like, not everybody has to be a founder,
Of course.
right? Not everybody has to be a founder. And this might sound okay. I try to be as politically correct as I can, but like I feel that there's things that drive a point across that are important to be mentioned. If everybody was a founder,
Mm.
there wouldn't be companies,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
There wouldn't be companies
Mm.
because, and everybody has a specific role in society,
Mm.
and it's okay to have different roles in society.
Mm.
Not everybody has to be a leader.
Of course. Of
Not
course.
everybody has to be a CEO. And there's people that find joy in being 실무자,
Mm.
right? There's people that find, hey, I just want to be left alone, and this is, I want to be, how do you say 실무자?
Do you have words for that?
I don't know, maybe not. PD님, no? maybe you have, no, maybe it's just like a person that, so 실무자 is a person that does the groundwork.
Mm. Mm.
The groundwork. Hey,
Mm.
there's a leader, there's a captain in the army, but you need to have actual soldiers,
Of course.
right? And there's people that feel great. You know what, bro? Listen, this is something that really drives the point home. I've been talking to my wife, and my wife is training herself for coaching. She wants to be a coach, and she
Okay.
wants to have like the coaching 자격증, right?
Coach for what?
It's called a coaching. So coaching is to be a coach. Coaching,
Okay.
right? So it's like it's like sort of like psychological assistance for people,
It's like a life coach.
like a life coach, sort
Oh,
of.
actually, I'm interested in those
Oh,
things.
really?
Yeah.
You
Maybe.
can
Yeah,
totally talk
probably
to her.
later.
Yeah,
All right. All right.
she's super into that right now.
All right. So.
Super into that, and there's like 자격증 for that and stuff.
Oh, there's a
Yeah,
for
it's called
that?
KAC
Damn.
and stuff. It's, bro, and you learn so much.
I thought
Like,
you just had to be a guru or something.
no, there's a 자격증 for that as well. And then she's been having these like 깨달음, like
Mm.
realizations on her
Mm.
own, and she's like, hey, baby, she's talking to me. I think I found my purpose in life,
Wow.
and I think I found my calling. And her calling was, I feel that what I'm meant to do is kingmaker.
Oh.
Kingmaker. So I was like, hey, what's kingmaker? Huh? What's kingmaker? She said, hey, it's the person that is behind stage,
Mm.
working
Mm.
to actually 양성 and build somebody else. It's like the coach,
Make
you
the
know. It's
star
like,
shine.
hey, she mentioned, I don't want to be the chewing. I don't want to be like, I don't want to be out there because that's not me. That's not what I'm meant to be. My purpose is to help somebody else reach to the top. And she was talking about helping me in the business and stuff. I was like, wow, that was very eye opening because I can't, and I'm not supposed to, and it wouldn't be fair to um, expect the same standards for her as I do for myself in certain ways. And although I think that we all think that what we think is correct, I feel that for me, in my case, it's taking humbleness to say, hey, not everybody has to think this way. People have their own roles in society. We're all an organ in the body. Some organs are smaller. Some organs are the sirge. You know, the sirge doesn't really have a very like a bladder. Bladder? No, not a bladder. Anyway, it doesn't really have a very big role as the heart, but it does have a role, and we all complement each other. And I do feel that there's things that apply to everybody. For example, suffering. Hey, get acquainted with suffering. Hey, reframe your reality. This applies to everybody. But yeah, I've come to agree with the fact that not everybody has to be a founder, and that's the way I've come to see it.
when I was doing the first podcast, what I realized about myself was that I enjoy this a lot because I always consider myself as a storyteller and I love listening to a lot of people and I love conversation, just talking in general. And I prefer this over interview because interview is about just a questionnaire
Mm,
and ask question, get the
mm,
answers, right?
mm,
But this is much better because we're actually having the
mm,
conversation,
mm,
which leads to like random questions that I didn't even have
mm,
before. And when I was listening to you, I think I'm also like your wife in some way
mm,
because I do enjoy being out there
mm,
in some level,
mm,
but I also like to support people. And I think I know a
mm,
better way to form this people into a better shape than this
mm,
person.
mm,
I often find myself analyzing those things. Like,
mm,
if you just put this, if you just do this, if you just say these things, you could be a better version of this yourself, right?
mm,
So that was interesting that um, she spoke in those terms of kingmaker. That was
mm,
really interesting.
mm,
And other thing I wanted to talk about was that you mentioned that every people have their certain roles in
mhm,
society, right?
mhm,
In Korea, I think that's true. I agree with 100%. But in Korea, I think people are constantly shown the image of success, the
mm,
success that society says,
mm,
and they don't have a chance to think and value if that success is right for you. And
mm,
in a
mm,
if you're not working for a job that says the success in society's term, then you feel that maybe that job is perfect for you. You
mhm,
just don't know it. Korean people don't even think about if this job is
mm,
perfect or not. If
mm,
that is not the job that society that says is perfect, you just automatically think
mm,
that it's a failure.
mm,
And I think that all comes from just comparing yourself to each
mm,
other, right?
mm.
Um, and we all, of course, we talked about social media and all that. Um, so I was curious, do you think this is a Korean thing or it's just like Gen Z thing or is it like human thing to compare yourself to people around you?
Mm,
How about you?
I believe that it's normal, and when I say normal, it's not. It's supposed to be that way, but it's normal as in it's the norm.
Yeah, it's just natural
It's
thing to happen.
it's the norm. That's
Mm,
what normally happens. I think that we have our responsibility to go after. I talk about meaning just because I like the word and I like what it means, but to take responsibility on our own lives
mm,
and actually question ourselves: is it that I'm doing right now
mm,
something that I have been born to
mm,
do? Does this take into consideration my own strengths,
mm,
my own desires, how I think the world should look like? And there's many people that don't have the chance to work on something that they actually like and care about. uh, a lot of people I would recommend, hey, take a deep hard dive into yourself and ask yourself hard questions.
mm,
Hey, is why am I doing this?
mm,
Like, why what's the purpose of this again? Like, why like, and if the why doesn't satisfy the reason and the suffering that you're going through, then actually like make a decision. But at the same time, I don't think that we all have to work in something that really um makes us passionate about. If
mm,
I think about specialization of work,
mm,
it's pretty much a very modern concept.
mm,
Back then, people just did. If my father was a shoemaker, then I was a shoemaker,
mm,
and I took on the responsibility with pride, and I just made sure that I was the best shoemaker in the world. If my father was a farmer, if my family was a farmer, I was just a farmer for the rest of my life. And I think there's also self-realization in the fact of you being good at whatever task is at hand. Right now we have more opportunities. We can change jobs every 6 months, and we can work on things that we like. Sometimes we have economical constraints. Hey, I would like to do that, but that doesn't really give any money. It's not profitable. Then it's hard. It's not easy to make the decision. For me, it was also like a leap of faith. I was working in a big company. I was working in a very good environment. Everything was good. Salary was good. Everything was amazing. But I was like, everything is fine. I feel a bit too comfortable now. And I feel that if I don't take a choice, if I don't make a choice, then I don't want to imagine the Max that's down the road, just, dead inside, because everything in the outside is apparently good, but I needed something that
Did you feel
drove
that?
me. Yeah, I felt that. And I was feeling like, sort of like I was misusing my abilities and capacities and strengths and vision. I was sort of like wasting them.
I mean, some might say that working in Hyundai might be someone's dreams, right? But you had this hunger and thirst for something else.
I think it was also
that?
my dream, to be honest. Like when I came to Korea for the first time more than 10 years ago, I was like, hey, I really want to work into big techie up in Korea. That's my dream. And I think that was my dream before I knew more about myself, and people change as well. So like, whenever this is something very important as well. So I think the most important thing, Robin, is not the most important thing. That's an over dimensioning of the word, but something that's really important is also the ability to be content with whatever you have. With whatever you have. Like, it's funny how humans are unable to satisfy.
Right.
It's very, very hard to satisfy. It's like, I want this cup. I worked super hard. I got this cup. As soon as I got this cup, I want another cup, right? And it's good because that's what builds civilization, right? Desire and thrive, and this like 욕심, right? But at the same time, learning to this is me right now. This is what I have. I'm gonna work for something else, for something bigger, but I am content and I'm happy with what I have right now. It's also part of the equation as well. So I was already happy, and I was super blessed, man. I was super blessed, and I was super happy. But at the same time, hey, I'm young. If I don't take a step into the unknown, then nobody's gonna do it for me. So that was a choice that I had to do. By the way, for people that are lacking context, I was working in a big company, and then I got out of the company. I decided to quit and decided to run my own company as well. So that's that.
Yeah, accepting and appreciating what you have is the key. Yeah, for sure. And I also think that we have to admit on some point that it contradicts me being a founder saying this, but work is work. You don't have to, you can't just find happiness or satisfaction or your values, all of those in work alone. You have to find some in your family, some in your relationship with your friends and a lover, some in your I don't know, day-to-day nice things that you do, or those things, right? But in these modern times, I think work is too connected to ourselves that people often think that this is just everything that I have, everything I am. But if you just concentrate on that too much, of course, work can give you some satisfaction and some happiness, but you have to find some other values rather than work, and accepting that how much you thrive and how much you become successful in any work field, at the end of the day, that's not the only important thing in your life, right? So I just wanted to mention that because I know that I have some ups and downs in my business, but I also find satisfaction and self-validation in my relationship with my family, my friends, because I'm doing quite well. So that gives me strength and energy to also do better in my business. It's all related, right?
It's all related. Definitely for sure. We're multidimensional beings, so work is something, but we also have relationships, and it's important to. That's sort of like the personal victories that we were talking about
Alright.
earlier on. Hey,
Alright.
this is that. This is what I want to achieve, but there's other things that I'm supposed to take care of in order for me to be integrally happy.
120K community influencer.
Mm.
You are influencer yourself. So what is that like? I want to be one.
Well, I don't like to think of myself as an influencer because
Really?
yeah, I don't know. I think the word just sounds cringy for me,
Well, yeah,
right?
of course.
Right? It's
But
like yeah, like whenever
to
people, hey,
describe what you
yeah,
are.
yeah. Like I get it. Like it was never really actually my dream to.
How did it happen? When did you just start blooming up?
Okay, so I started making content in 2016.
Wow.
And I still have the videos in YouTube, and the videos were super cringy. But I mean, it was the start of it, you know. It was the start of it, and it was just basically, hey, I know a bit of Korean. I want to share this knowledge with people, and it started out of this. I want to create something. I want to create something. This ketchukja, you know, like I want to do something, right? So I started, and then just people started adding to the project. So we reached 100K in Instagram this year. We have 26K in YouTube. That's I.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's not. I think thanks for the chingchan and stuff. I want to do better. I want to do better. I haven't been able to be as consistent in social media as I would like to, but it's been a journey. It's been a journey. It's been a journey to exposing myself out there. A lot of people are afraid of exposing themselves, of like, hey, I don't want to show my face. It's fine. It's fine. Like,
no one cares.
Yeah. Like, yeah. First of all, like, you don't have to do social media necessarily exposing yourself, but if you want to build a personal brand, then
it's a must these days.
Yeah, like nowadays, like instead of like Myongham or a business card, hey, you just share your Instagram, your LinkedIn, whatnot. So it's important. It takes a lot of work, like editing podcasts and stuff. Bro, it's tough, man. Like setting up the cameras, getting the guests, editing, uploading, thumbnails, copywriting for the description, for the title. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, and it really takes a lot of consistency.
Right.
There's nothing. I don't know if I completely 100% agree with this following phrase, but it says like, I do agree. There's just some caveats along the way. It says like, if you work on something that you love, you're never gonna have to work a day in your life, right? So it's like, yeah, it's like if you, I feel the same way as you. Like whenever I wake up and I start working, it just feels like I like it, man. I like it, and I just enjoy spending time in front of the computer, just building the business because this is what I like. This is what drives me, and I think people notice that, bro. People notice the passion.
Right.
So if you're passionate about it, people know, hey, this guy actually walks the talk. You know, he means what he says. He's true. He's genuine. So people tend to. If you start this personal branding, which I really recommend, bro, really recommend. And bro, I mean, you speak very good English. You're Korean. You're a founder. You have all the qualities to actually be able to have a lot of success. People notice it, and you're gonna be able to drive a very close knit community because people trust what you say.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm getting a lot. People know. I think that's true. People notice if this person is for real or not because they can smell it.
You can smell it, yeah. For sure.
And
for sure.
For foreigners is like it's more true because I don't want to shit on Korea and I don't want to shit on Korean business to target foreigners. But here we go. A lot of Korean businesses, startups, they claim that they target foreigners. They claim that they help foreigners. but they don't have the mindset,
Mm.
international mindsets, right? So
Mm.
they only approach foreigners in the same way they
Mm.
do to Korean customers.
Mm.
This is not good in business terms, and this is not also good in building relationship with the customers, because when you're in a different country, when you're from, I don't know, when you're from Germany, when you're from Malaysia, or any place in the world, when you come to Korea, everything is so different. I think Korea is one of the places that have so different standards when you compare that to other parts of the world, that is shockingly new. You have to adapt into so many new things. So you tend to keep your guard up, right? And when Korean companies or anyone just approach you in a way that they've been doing for like many years without changing anything and without understanding their culture, their mindsets, and what's different from me and you, they're automatically not trust you. And these businesses don't really see the point of earning their trust, because that's a hard work. It takes time. It's not something you built in right away, right? That's what I noticed when I show up to these events. People will notice, oh, he's been. I think I've seen him in other events. Oh, so he's around here a lot. When they see them in another event, they're gonna eventually come up and talk to me, right? Oh, I've been seeing you a lot. So my name's Robin, and blah blah blah. Just slowly building up. I think in business that revolves around foreigners in Korea, there's no shortcut to this. Founders or team members of startups, anyone who wants to work in these sectors, they have to show up. They can't hide behind their brands. They have to go to these events. They have to talk to these people. They have to actually just let themselves just down and be part of it. You can't just, we can't do this. We can't continue on framing ourselves as Korean providers and foreigners consumers. We can't do this. We can't keep continue doing this, right? I mean, just wanted to mention that.
No, it's. What's your next? Do you have any upcoming project or idea for foreigners, or is that are you able to disclose that at this point?
Well, we're still figuring out, but like the main objective, myself, personal objective, is to be well, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I believe everyone in this time of days are struggling in some ways, because the world around us is so chaotic. We don't know where we're heading, and it's not like nostalgia, but we have like evidences that people are getting more sad. Compare that to like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years before. So I want to find my meaning and purpose in life, and I want to be well in that process. I don't want to, I mean, I will struggle a lot, but at the end of the day, I want to, how do you say this? Just live well. And I want to help foreigners in Korea while they're living in Korea. I want them to achieve the same things. And after that, for all the global movers, because global moving, working in another country, living in another country is becoming more normal these days. It's not something special. It happens every day. It's a normal life for so many people these days, right? So, and I think same struggle is there when you become a foreigner. It doesn't matter you're from like Korea, it doesn't matter from your Japan or anything. Once you leave your country and live and establish a life in another country, you become a foreigner. And that same struggle foreigners in Korea face will be the same struggle that you face in other country, right? So that's like a business side. We can expand if we find some service for global movers. And we're still figuring out, but do you know what time left is?
Time
left. It's like a social gathering service for global movers as well.
Mm.
So it's a really simple idea. You answer a bunch of questions, then algorithm will fix you up with five other people. So it's like a group of six people going to this restaurant to have a social dining together. So what that does is build a communityship and relationship and the feeling of not being alone in this society. So I want to create some similar thing to that, but that is focused on wellness.
Interesting.
So, but when I'm talking about wellness, I'm not just talking about yoga or meditation, like those generic commercial wellness things, but I'm also talking about like like the things you mentioned, like journaling or having a good relationship with people while maintaining your balance in life, all those things. So that's why I'm also interested in like coaching, like your wife is mentioning about. So we haven't figured out how to make a business model out of this, but the reason that it comes from my own problem and that this is the thing I'm passionate about makes this thing interesting for me.
Wow. And I start to see some patterns in in the way you want to pursue business and the way that you're really passionate about it. Foreigners, which is something that you feel very identified with, you being a Korean, but being a global Korean, I told you last time, global Korean, and also the sense of community really seems to come up very often, which is something that I think is very, very interesting and very needed, very needed. And a lot of people answered to your previous call on LinkedIn. Hey, I also want to do it. Hey, I think you mentioned like meeting up and you mentioned about your Tobongsan like journey, right? And as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, I need this. I need this. Like I want this. So I really hope that you can make it.
Fingers crossed.
I mean, no pressure, but I mean, it seems like a good idea. We just have to like figure out like the business model how
So
that
I've
would
been
look like.
meeting every people that left a comment like in person, just having a dinner or coffee, and I think that's my thing. I like meeting people. I don't have any problem meeting with new person I newly meet and having having a dinner, just having a coffee. That's not a problem for me. I know a lot of people struggle with this, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's just different thing, right? But for a lot of Koreans, I know it's very not common to just randomly chat with people online, and that leads them to actually meeting this person offline. That doesn't feel right for many Koreans, right? But
especially foreigners.
Yeah, especially meeting foreigners, right? Unless you have some goals like learning languages or something. I know a lot of Koreans go to this like language exchange programs, right? But they have specific goals. But I didn't. I had goals, but it was more about always when I meet people, I always tell them I have some specific goals on my mind that when I'm meeting you, but it's just getting to know each other. It's just having fun, me having fun. It's just me having dinner with you, having coffee with you. Even if I don't accomplish what I had in mind, it doesn't matter because we can do this later if I first build a relationship with you first, right? So, I mean, that's my mindset. And whenever I talk to these people, they also say the same things. Like they need this, but they don't want to start by themselves. And they don't want to go to these community events because a lot of them here are more focused on Koreans and not a lot of foreigners group just go on for a longer term. So they're tired of going to these events and just like, that was like a waste of time, or they don't want to feel disappointed. As longer you stayed here, I think foreigners tend to think they have been disappointed too much in these events, in these groups, in this community, because building community is a lot of work, right? So maybe that one foreigner who made this community, maybe he had to leave. Maybe he just got tired. Maybe he just for any random reasons. So I think a lot of people are saying that I want something that sticks, that's stable, because I'm just assuming this part, but maybe because, like I've mentioned, maybe their life is a bit temporary at the moment. They want something, some sense of something stable, so they
Mm,
can actually put their heart into it. Just my assumption.
very interesting. That's a very clear pain point
Mm.
that you can start developing into that. So man, keep us updated in how that goes.
You will also be a part of it.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
we can talk about married life and then wrap
Yes.
up. Yeah,
Married life and what?
and then we can wrap up. Yeah,
Oh, sure,
yeah.
sure.
I think we've talked about
Pretty much.
pretty much all those things. So
Yeah.
yeah. So bro, married life, huh? Yeah, bro.
We have a lot to talk about.
It's been good.
Mm.
It's been good. It's been good. It's been good. It's been good. It's been a blessing. It's really been a blessing.
Mm.
I never really imagined myself married now,
Mm.
but I it's I don't know. I feel bad saying this because it feels illegal to feel this happy. Of course, it's been only like
Wow.
it's been
Oh
only like
my
300 days.
God.
But I was like talking to my wife yesterday. I was like, hey, baby, like I feel so happy that we got married. Like I feel so happy. Like I really feel that I made the right choice. Like in marrying you.
Did you do
And
something wrong?
huh?
Did you do something wrong last night? You had to say
No,
this.
bro. I was like, no, man. I just feel like I don't know. I don't know how to explain that, but it's. I feel that she adds so much value to my life.
Mm.
She adds so much value to my life, and we're like a team, you know. And I constantly, bro. So we have a we have 선서,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm.
So we have some. We wake up every morning after we go to the gym. We have breakfast and we have like a 선서. So we have like gaun soda.
Wow.
So we have gaun, and it's like this. I'm gonna show you. So we have 5 key values in our family in our nucleus. So we make sure to say them. We we put some like random Dara Egupka in the background, and we just raise our hand, and then we just do our own little kahun,
That's cute.
which is like, hey, we have 5 values as a family right now, and it's the following. One is 소통, which is communication, good communication. The other one is 섬김, which is service. The other one is 자기 개발, which is like self development. The fourth one is minimalism, which is
Okay.
minimalism. And the fifth one is 사랑, 배품. So we just go. 자, 지금부터 가족의 핵심 가치 읽도록 하겠습니다. 1번, 소통. 직설적이고 명확하며 거짓 없는 솔직한 소통을 통해 오해가 생기지 않도록 강력한 신뢰감을 형성합니다.
Wow.
So like we go one by one,
Wow.
saying that. Bro, it's been amazing because we have become it's like we're separate beings still, but we just come together and we form something, and we're a team. It feels like a team, and she has her duties at home, I have my duties at home, but we just go the extra mile at like serving each other, loving each other, and we've been able to build a very strong good communication based relationship, and that has been so important for me. We didn't have that at first, because I've noticed, I don't know if it's the whole Korean society or not, but I feel Koreans, they have this like nunchi culture.
That's like a huge thing.
In which you don't communicate things explicitly to other people, but expect them and trust in their abilities to read the room.
Do we have the terms in other languages for that?
No, bro. It's like
Right,
reading the
nunchi is
room.
like the hardest concept to
Right.
actually form into other languages.
Right. Yeah, nunchi. We don't have that nunchi. So nunchi is like, hey, for example, we had breakfast, and I'm supposed to wash the dishes, right? But I didn't wash the dishes. So normally, if there's like this indirect communication style, people will be like, like doing that, giving you a hint, right? And then if the person doesn't read the hints, the person is gonna become mad. And saigo, it just builds on top of each other.
Right.
It just, and then at one point it just explodes.
Right.
Explodes. Hey, you haven't been washing the dishes for the whole week, whatnot. So we've really tried to tackle down any like ohe or any miscommunication problems. Like say, hey, baby, I feel a bit frustrated because you haven't washed the dishes. As soon as things happen, so we don't count on the other person magically knowing what the other person expects or wants, but actually having clear, direct communication. And bro, there's people think that I speak about relationships as if I was like a super expert. I've been married for like 50 years. I've only been married for like 300 years, so I know nothing about marriage. But something that I've been applying to my life is like marriage, and it's something that I stole from TikTok, so don't really pay too much attention to that. It's marriage. People think that marriage is like 50%, 50 and 50% of work. But no, that's not realistic. It's not 50-50. There's days in which I'm only going to be able to give a 20%. So my partner has to be able to go in and fill in for the remaining 80% so that we feel the 100%. There's days in which she's going to be super tired from work. She got scolded by her boss, whatnot. She did bad in a presentation. She's like a 10. When she gets home, maybe she's not going to be able to make dinner. Maybe she's not going to be able to clean the bathroom, whatever it might be. So I, as a supporting partner, I have to step up and fill in the void. So we have taken up on the habit of asking each other, like, 자기 지금 몇 프로야? So hey baby, what's your percentage right now?
That's good.
So hey 자기 몇 프로야? 나 30%야. I'm only 30%. Alright, 나 70% 재워줄게. Okay, I'm gonna fill in the remaining 70%. So that's a way in which we know at any given point at what percentage we are, and that could be emotional percentage, physical percentage, just everything, like 종합적으로. And that has really helped us to have a very clear communication and expectation. So I'm happy, bro. I'm happy.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy for you.
Thank
and
you,
I think when we talk about well-being and wellness, we tend to think that it's just about yourself. It's about your own physiques, your own mind, your own soul, your own spirit, your own thing. But determining your one's well-being is really connected to the social relationship you have, right? Because you can't live on your own. And your lover, your friends, your family, all these relationships, I think what they require the most is communication, like you just mentioned, because like you said, this person is not going to know what I am thinking automatically if I don't tell them. I think nunchi is really getting on the way of for Koreans because the concept of nunchi is so hardwired into our brains that we just assume that people will try to read you without you telling them exactly what you want. And these people are in the same room, right? Like people who believe in nunchi, 5 people who believe in nunchi in the same room, they're all just, not saying the real stuff. And I think that also piles up with Koreans being not able to communicate their emotions well. We don't really do that, right? You know what I mean?
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, because I've never been that person. But I think for men, I can't talk about women because I don't know. But for men, I think that comes from the relationship with his father.
Interesting.
I think that's it. But my dad, I don't think I've mentioned this before, but my dad is like, my dad is like,
such a loving.
He's also a very global Korean with a very global mindset.
Right.
And I'm not saying that how it is. The traditional household, Korean household, is all bad, and the style of Western household is all good. I'm not saying that there's good and bad, and there's ups and downs, pros and cons, but being able to communicate with my dad, even from a young age, and knowing that this person is treating me not only as a child, but as a person, as an equal being. So he listens to me and actually having a conversation. But for most Korean men, what they have with their father is not like that. Is nothing like that. Usually what it does to a man is that he learns that showing emotions is a kind of childish thing to do. You have to grow up from that. That's like a phase. You're a kid, you're a teenager, you show up your emotions. You are taught that you have to learn to hide your emotions in some ways because that's what grown-ups do. That's a mature thing to do. We talked about for 2 hours. Was it 2 hours?
Wow.
All right.
Crazy. Time flies, man. It didn't feel like 2 hours.
I'm a talkative person. You're a talkative person. So imagine what we could do.
Bro, but it was very, very, very productive. I really enjoyed it. We talked about many things: social media, self-growth, married life, student and working, countries, entrepreneurship, daily routines, values, goals. Bro, it was very, very productive, and it's always a pleasure to be able to share these experiences with you, my man.
Yep. So this was Max, and we were TAC. Like we mentioned, we talk about wellness and growth of global movers in Korea. If anyone's watching this or listening to this, if you think you're right for this podcast to be our guest, or if you know anyone who could be a part of this, just let us know. We'll leave a comment, or you could message us directly. We're open to anything. So yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you for having me, Robin, and please stay tuned to the podcast. Yes. Like, follow, subscribe, and leave your comment here. It's gonna really help us out. Hope to be able to be part of another in the future, man.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, thanks for having me, man.
See you next time, guys.
Bye, guys.